have a sacred ritual that I start my writing process off with every time so that I can be in the right space and actually have what I need to write come out the way it's supposed to come out. So within my space, I have a candle that sits on a mirror, and I have some stones and rocks that my children and I have picked up on walks over the course of the last 3 years, and they sit around the base of my candle. And then I have my Spotify music playlist that kind of it sometimes I need the mood to be, there are certain moods that I want to be portraying when I'm writing, and so I use my Spotify playlist to keep me in that mood. Especially when I'm feeling stuck, it sometimes helps. But my candle, my rocks, and my Spotify playlist, those are my go-to things. A lot of writer's block when I'm comparing myself to somebody else. It's really easy to do. As an avid reader from a really young age, authors took me into their worlds and their stories and into history and into religion and science, and I read everything. So for me, I sometimes have to sit and tell myself that I'm not that other person. I'm not comparing myself to those other writers, because I'm writing as who I am, not who they are. And so I have a totally different style. Like, I can't compare myself to them. There will always be similar elements in every story that's told, just because that is our storytelling routine. Like, every story has the same sorts of elements that end up falling into it, but it's my style versus their style. And so that's really where I have my biggest stumbling block a lot of the times, is just that imposter syndrome. And I have to remind myself it's okay to just let go and just write, and let whatever comes out comes out. Incredibly fluid in my life. The one that I do think that falls through is that they're truthful to who they are, that they're not trying to be someone else, or if they are trying to be someone else, then their hero's journey takes them to being themselves, instead of trying to be this other person that they really weren't, and they were doing that to please somebody else. I think that's one of the true keys in any character that I can root for. And that goes along with everything that I've read or watched on TV or movies. You know, they're becoming themselves, maybe, is more of the character trait that I care about the most. So that's really, I suppose they're, but the other ones that I think about, they all fall into becoming themselves or being themselves. They're being truthful to who they are. So, gosh, I actually have a whole series of side characters that I want to write about. They don't actually show up within this particular short story that is in Soul Journey. So it's going to be, there are going to be other characters that come in. The one character that I really do want to have be a focal point at some point is my general store owner. Totally intriguing me at this point as to who this person really is that can manage to do this general store and have everything that everybody in town actually needs. So I'm curious as to how that character is going to develop someday in the future. I actually am writing under a pseudonym because I wanted to have distance between my nonfiction writing and my fiction writing. So I already am writing under a pseudonym simply for that spatial distancing. However, I really believe that it's still my writing and it's still who I am. So even though it's a pseudonym, it's more of allowing people who are reading what I'm writing to know this is the fiction side versus the nonfiction side. I believe that my kryptonite actually happens to be that I have so many things going on sometimes that it's hard for me to sit and stay focused. I really have to plan time for sitting to write, because otherwise I'm being pulled in at least 4 other directions, if not more, because of just life in general. So in order to really get writing done, I have to sit down and have that space and time within my calendar to give myself permission to write, because otherwise other things fill that space and time in, and then I don't do the writing I want to do. So I think that's probably my biggest kryptonite. I tend to, pre-COVID, we would go out. Well, I would take my kids out and we'd go out to eat, because they were really patient with me while I was doing writing and editing. After COVID has come, we do takeout of some sort. That's not a normal takeout that we do, something it's a bigger, more special event type of takeout. So we do that. Someday I fantasize also about just really being able to go and do a vacation, but right now that isn't quite as easy. I actually am reading 3 different books at once. That's probably, and they're all nonfiction, because with me doing the fiction editing and writing right now, I didn't want to read fiction books right now. So I'm reading Attached, which is by Amir Levine. I am in the middle of reading Untamed, which is Glennon Doyle. I started that one back in January and I haven't gotten past the middle of the book. So I'm motivated to get it done before the end of the year. And the other one happens to be it goes along with Attached to, it's Calling in the One. And I'm rereading parts of that one, not fully the entire book. I read that earlier this year, but I'm going back and looking at other pieces and parts. Oh, yeah, just 3 books at the moment.